The flexbox layout gives us a lot of options for changing the alignment of elements within the flex container. It actually gives us so many options that it's easy to confuse them. So let's demystify them by looking at some examples. Here I have 3 articles of different sizes with headlines. I've set the background color of the body to this dark gray, so it makes it easier to see the boundaries of the article elements. I've already set display to flex on the container, which in this case is the body tag. I also set the flex direction to column, so the content flows from top to bottom. The first property we'll look at is justify content. This property affects the way the children are aligned along the direction the content is flowing. Currently, the flex direction is set to column, so justify content will affect how the articles use the extra space from top to bottom without adjusting the actual size of the elements. Justify content defaults to flex start, which means they will all bunch up to the starting point, which in this case is the top. If we change it to flex end, they will bunch together at the bottom. We can also change it to center to get them to bunch together in the middle. This is also a great way to finally get real vertical align in CSS. If I only had one child or one article, it would still be centered vertically. I can also spread the children out using space between, which will stick the first child to the start of the flow and the last child to the end, with the children in between spaced out evenly. The last option for justify content is space around, which is pretty complex. It distributes the empty space equally around all the children, including the first and last ones. But notice the space before the first child and after the last child is half of the space between children. Justify content affects the space along the flex direction. Align items affects the space perpendicular to the flex direction. To illustrate this better, I'm going to change the direction to row. I'm also going to make all the articles the same width by setting flex to 1 on all of them. Now we have 3 articles of different content length, but their box height is the same. They're stretched to 100% height. That's because align items defaults to stretch, which will use all of the extra perpendicular flex direction space, which in this case is the vertical space. We can also set it to flex start, which will move them to the top. Flex end will align them to the bottom, and center will move them to the center. This is also another solution for the CSS vertical align problem. The last option is baseline. This will align the items to the baseline of the first line of text in the element. I can better demonstrate by removing the H1 tag from this last child. Notice how the baseline of the first line of the text lines up with the headlines in the other elements. I can also change one child individually by using the align self property on one of the children. Align self is identical to align items, but you apply it to a flexbox child as opposed to the container. And it defaults to auto, which means do whatever align item says. But if I wanted this not real article to align to the bottom without disturbing the other ones, I could set align self to flex end. So a quick review. Justify content declares how to use the extra space along the direction the content is flowing. Align items declares how to use the extra space perpendicular to the flex direction. Align self is the same as align items, but where justify content and align items are applied to the flexbox containers and affect all children, align self is only applied to specific individual children.